Good morning, everybody. First of all, proud of our team and how they responded last week and getting back on track with a really good win up at Maryland. Another road challenge this week as we get ready to head up to Virginia, a place that none of these guys have been. And, got a lot of respect for Coach London and his staff and what they're trying to do up there. They've played a tough schedule. I know their record is not what they would like it to be, but the thing that is impressive is how hard they're playing and how hard they're competing, and they're not far. This is a talented football team that, as I said, according to the experts, has played the toughest schedule in the country. Got a great win over BYU, so very, very capable team that competes really hard. Offensively for them, they play very fast. They throw it around, a lot of formations, a lot of shifts, do a lot of different things, pretty balanced throughout the year. He got a huge offensive line and huge tight ends. It's one thing that Virginia's always been pretty consistent with, always got just monstrous type tight ends and offensive linemen. No different this year. They play a bunch of wideouts. Running back's a really good player. He's fourth in the league in rushing. He's a guy we actually recruited a little bit. Remember him? And he's also their not only is he their leading rusher, but he's their second leading receiver on the team. So they do a good job of getting the ball to 25. And then really impressed with their quarterback. He's just a sophomore, but very athletic, throws a very accurate football. Threw the ball for 370-something yards last week against Georgia Tech. They've played a bunch of guys at wideout, but they've kind of 20 and 6 look like two guys that are kind of emerging for them. He's an athletic runner, and they'll move him out of the pocket, a lot of boots and sprint outs and things like that. But very impressed with him. And then defensively, I think the biggest thing is they've had a couple injuries, sounds like they might be getting a couple of those guys back this week. But the other thing is they're very young. A lot of freshmen and sophomores in there too deep, like 13 or 14 freshmen and sophomores, but very talented. I promise you this will be as good looking a team as we'll see. Again, we're going to have to play well and handle what they do. Familiar with a bunch of their coaches, just as they're familiar with us. Impressed with their linebacker. 44 is probably as good as there is in the conference. Really good player. Their best defensive lineman. Big 6'7" guy, 99, has been hurt. Not sure if he'll be back or not this week, but you look at number 7. He's one of the top sack guys in this conference. Young player, fast. Really, I think has a great future in this league. And then they got the interception leader, sitting back there at safety. Number 8 got 5 picks on the season. For us, it's the same old deal. It's the biggest game of the year. Just trying to do everything we can do to get to 8-1 as we head into the open date. Looking forward to that opportunity as far as getting a little extra time for our team and getting some guys healed up and all that kind of stuff. But got a big challenge in front of us this week. Know we're going to get their best effort. We'll get the very best effort that they have. There's no doubt about that. And we expect that, and we know we got to play well. But the big thing for us is as we head into November is to just to continue to find ways to win games, and hopefully play our best football in the month of November. That's really I hope we haven't played our best football in September and October, and that's usually what happens in the month of November. The teams that are playing their best football, throughout that month. Everybody's jockeying for position, trying to get to November, and if you can play some really good football in November, then you got a chance to separate and have a special season, and that's our goal. But we've got to take another big step this week in trying to get a win at Virginia. Any questions?
Is there any chance you'll be limited by any of your regulars physically, Taj?
No. We came out, as I said, Sunday night. Right now we expect everybody to be ready to roll.
What's your level? can you quantify the level of concern you may have inside your tackles? You don't seem to run the ball very well up the gut.
Well, I don't have very much concern. I think that we, just rushed the ball for 250 yards, at another team's place and a place that had only given up 120 yards a game. So I think that we're, running the ball pretty good. We're a little bit off from where we were last year, not much. I mean, just a little bit. But our passing is up a little. And but I know that we've been a little inconsistent at times, but we're 8-1, and you don't get 8-1 without some guys doing some good things in the trenches. Or 7-1, excuse me. Hopefully, I'm forward thinking. But we're 7-1, and those guys, have done a lot of good things. Ryan Norton didn't play his best game last week. Got a little banged up early. But tried to fight through. But, Ryan Norton's been very consistent. Shatley has been tremendous all season. Beasley has been on and off as far as, being hurt and coming back. But, Kalen Davis has quietly done a lot of good things for us this year. And he was a guy coming into the season that we were a little disappointed in, and hopeful that he might emerge. And so I think it's been a real positive seeing Kalen and David, have a little competition there. And then Brandon Thomas has been outstanding. I know sometimes the people like to say certain things, but I know what we have on this football team, and I know what we've done good, and I know what we've done bad. And our offensive line has not been great, but none of us have been great. And but they've done very well. You're not one of the best teams in the country offensively, which we are, without having some guys do some good things up front. I think sometimes they get a little too much blame.
Chad said yesterday that he kind of discovered in that game that you need number 10 in the running game to run the football effectively. Do you see it the same way too?
Well, that's what we do. That's our philosophy. That's why I went to what we do. We're always going to, when 10's gone, whoever the next guy is, we're going to run the football. Because I believe that it is a distinct advantage when you have a quarterback who can run the football. When you get in short yards and goal line situations and everybody loads the box, it's not that you don't have, because we run the short yards and goal line with our running backs. And we'll continue to do that. But you gain an extra hat when you have a quarterback who can run the ball. It's just a numbers game, and it's just a philosophy. It's one of the reasons that we have won a bunch of ball games. We've been in the top 10 for 10 weeks now, and one of the main reasons for that is our quarterback is a weapon, and that's what we do. So if our quarterback can't run the football, then it's really kind of a moot point with our system. Our running backs are always going to lead us in rushing, always. And we're gonna get back to where we've got some All-American type running backs here. That's going to happen. But our quarterbacks have to be a factor in the run game. And again, that's what's made us really tough. And if you look around the country at some of the best offenses in this country, the ones that are really hard to stop, most of them, they got a quarterback that's a factor.
On the flip side with your rush defense, you've had 5 games where you've really limited opposing running backs, and that Georgia, NC State, Syracuse were a bit more of a struggle. Have you noticed a trend in those particular games where the rush defense has been stingier?
Just everybody doing their job. Some of that stuff gets skewed with a one play or 2 plays. You play 60 plays really, really good, but then you have 3 bad plays, and it's somebody not playing their gap, somebody having a missed assignment, a missed tackle, whatever. You may look great on the board and you may be in position, but you still got to execute. And sometimes you got to give the other team some credit. So you might have 2 or 3 plays within a game that can skew it. But last week I was really pleased. That was a big emphasis for us going into last week's game, was to be able to rush the football knowing that, they weren't giving up much rushing, and to be able to stop the run and really make them have to throw the football. And we did a really good job with those two aspects. Again, 160-yard rusher, career high for Rod McDowell, 160-yard receiver, never happened in school history. There's got to be some good things happening. And I know everybody wants us to be up 35-0 in the first quarter of every game, but that's not really realistic. It's a four-quarter game, and especially when we're on the road, and you got good players over there, and with a lot of pride as well. And for us, the biggest issue I have right now with us offensively is the turnovers. And as I look back at exactly where we were this time last year as compared to now, that's the biggest glaring difference in our offense. This time last year we had 1 fumble. We have 8 this year. We averaged 498 yards a game last year. We're averaging 494 a game. But the turnovers, and then we're a little off in third down. We're not bad, but we're not quite as good in third down as we were this time last year. But we still got, 4 or 5 more games, and hopefully when it's all said and done, we're going to be even better. But right now, that's the biggest issue that I have, and it's like a virus. It's kind of got to run its course, and hopefully it's through us. We have less interceptions right now than we had this time last year, but the fumbles has been a problem.
The turnovers, teams usually play like they practice. The last several weeks in practice, have these things happened in practice throughout the week, or is it something that's just manifested itself on game day?
Yeah, we've practiced really well. We've probably had some of the best practices these last 2 or 3 weeks that we've had all year. Really good practices. It's just, I think it's just one of those things. You look back and you evaluate, the fumbles that we had. There was a couple of them were really just kind of, poor fundamentals that you work on all the time, but then some of the others were just bad. Taj was just a busted play in the Florida State game. That ball he doesn't see the guy. It's a busted play. Sammy's fighting for yards, and he's in a pile. He's got good ball security, and guy just does a great job of ripping it out. Hot Rod's kind of the same thing. So, it's one of those deals. But that's, again, my experience has been it gets contagious, but hopefully we can get through that and just do a little better job taking care of the football. But the key is when you have a turnover, you got to get them, and that's the good news is our defense is better in every area than we were this time last year, every area, and that's why we're 7-1. That's why, because we've been able to overcome some of those big turnovers that we didn't have this time last year. But, so that's the goal for us, is just to really kind of clean up some things. It's a good football team, doing a lot of good things, a bunch of good stuff. People always want to just talk about the negative, but and we correct the negative, and we focus on that, and we teach every single day. But, nobody wants to talk about all the good things that they're doing. There's a lot of good things happening with this team. You don't have the consistency in performance that this team has had for a couple years without being committed, without practicing the right way, without believing in what you're doing, without great effort, attention to details, and all those things. Always want to get better. None of us are perfect. We haven't coached any perfect games, and when our guys haven't played any perfect games, but I think our best football is in front of us, and that's my expectation, is that we play our best football down the stretch.
Coach, you talk about people not talking about the positives. Do you ever have time to reflect during the season to see where this program is now after your 5 seasons here, being the top 10 in the BCS right now and number 8 in the country?
Well, Tim keeps me informed all the time. What do they call you? Google, Clemson Google, right here. Clemson Google here keeps me fully informed, and sometimes he'll put stuff in front of me, and I'm like, really? Wow! It's amazing. It's just like the road streak. We've got the longest road streak in 35 years. If that was easy to do, how come it's been 35 years? but nobody wants to talk about that or give our guys credit for that, the consistency that they played with on the road. You know, or how about the fact that we've had 15 straight wins over unranked opponents? 15 by double digits. And there's only one other team that's got a streak like that, and that's Alabama. To me, that's consistency. You know, and then I think the one that I'm personally most proud of is the fact that, well, two of them, for 39 weeks this team has been ranked, and there's only 6 other teams in the country that can say that. It's hard to maintain that type of consistency, but that is what we have to be as a program. We have to become a consistent program, you know, in order and handle success, handle failure, all those things. Go to the next game, focus on what you control, and I'm proud of them. I mean, we've been in the top 15 for 21 weeks, and the school record's 25. But the one that I'm most proud of is we've been in the top 10 for 10 weeks. And if you look at the top 10 streaks, that is hard to do. It's hard. We're the 4th longest streak in the country: Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, and Clemson. And then Florida State's behind us, and then it goes all the way down to like 1 week. It's hard to maintain that. So I just, you know, and there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, you know, expectations. But that's what we want. We want to be a team that people expect to be the best. And that's how we want our players to think. That's how we want our fans to think. And that's how we want to perform. But the consistency that we've been able to develop has been, you know, remarkable. And listen, the credit goes to our players and our coaches, because these guys have done a fantastic job the last few years, and that's one of our goals this year. Hey, we started in the top 10. Can we finish in the top 10? You know, how many teams do that? That's a hard thing to do. It's very, very hard to do. So there's just a lot of good things out there for these guys that they need to be recognized for, number one, but a lot of things out there for us to achieve. And because at the end of the day, if we can maintain a consistent level of performance, then we're going to have a program that's going to be one of the best year in and year out in this country. And that's what we want to do.
How impressed were you with Sammy Watkins and just how physical and aggressive he played? I think there was one play where he had 4 or 5 guys on him and he just kept going. Yeah, it looked like when Spiller returned that kick up there several years back. Y'all probably remember that. And just he is having a great year. Sammy is dialed in. He's focused. He's catching the ball very well. He's hungry. He wants that extra yard. And I'm just really proud of his leadership. And he stepped up in a big way for us the other night, you know, had some big plays, and had some really good protection to allow us to get the ball down the field to him. And then he obviously did a great job with some of the screens that we threw to him as far as getting yards after the catch. I think he had 100 and something yards, like 150 plus yards after the catch. So big night for him, proud of him. You know, broke Nuke's record for catches and all that kind of stuff. But if you look at what he's done, I was looking at the notes that Tim gave, and he's pretty close. I don't think he needs. He's got a chance to break Aaron Kelly's record. And
yardage, you know, he's 281.
281 yards in yardage, and he's only played 3 years. You know. And everybody acts like he had a pretty good year last year. He just didn't play a lot of games. He did some good things last year too, but he's been able to develop the continuity and the consistency this year, and he's having a heck of a season.
Dabo, I think you said last night that you had to turn off the ESPN broadcast because it seemed like y'all were down 39. What bothers you the most about some of the national voices and opinions?
Well, you know, usually one of the things I'll do is I'll usually about 9:30, 10 o'clock on Sunday nights, I usually put in the playback, and but it was just real negative. It was just negative, and so I just turned it down. I didn't listen. I just don't. You know, I'm gonna control what gets in here. You know. I'm not. That's one of the things I tell my players all the time. That's one of my favorite quotes ever. Is don't let anybody walk through your mind with their dirty feet. That's one of my favorite sayings of all time. You know, and I try to live by that.
And so I wanted to see the game perspective, but I just turned that down. Just negative, and really don't matter though. It has nothing to do with me or anything to do with our football team. It's our team is about the right things and finding ways to win games.
Hot Rod had his first 100-yard games at the season opener. Do you think that's kind of what he needed Saturday night to kind of spark him?
Yeah, we needed that. We needed that big game from our running back. And Hot Rod's had some really good games, but to see him step up and really be the durable runner that we needed him to be. And that's one of the things about that particular game is I loved how we finished the game. That's what I like most, with how we finished the game in the fourth quarter, running the football. Just hopefully that'll be kind of a spark for him as he finishes his career here and has a great November.
Chad mentioned working Jordan Leggett more into the plan because he's so athletic. I mean, could he be even used more outside of the traditional tight end realm? I mean, could you hybrid him in some way?
No. He's a tight end. That's what he does. We use him. We use our tight ends in a lot of different realms already. Really, not another realm to go to. He's got to practice the right way, and he's got to have the sense of urgency that you have to be a great player at this level. Very talented. I just think the biggest thing with Jordan is when he got hurt, it set him back, really set him back mentally. And because this spring he had a real hunger to him, a real sense of urgency, and I thought was as good as anybody we had out there this spring. But got hurt, and it really set him back, missed some time. And then I think just his maturity. And then, Seconder, and I know, everybody's down on Seconder right now, but let me just tell everybody in this room right now, that guy is a great football player. He's not yet, all right, but he's going to be. He's a sophomore. He's lost his confidence. We got to get his confidence back. We'll do that. He'll respond, but don't throw that cat away. He's going to win a bunch of games for us. We've got some of the best tight ends in the country, and I believe that. We're just young. We got to grow them up. And we will. Seconder's going to grow up and be a heck of a player here. McCullough is really, I think he's had probably the best couple of weeks of practice that he's had since he's been at Clemson. And then Leggett is very talented. So I really like the guys that we have there, the young guys. We gotta get them there, and we will. There's no doubt. But y'all just write that down, okay? Just write it down. All right. If them old boys don't get hurt, y'all gonna look up here in a couple years going, man, we got the best tight ends in the country, because that's what I think about those guys. Seconders he's like Cat was as a freshman. As far as the same kind of guy, same kind of work ethic, same kind of belief, same kind of commitment, and I think when it's all said and done, going to be a great player. And that's what we need. We have to have that tight end element in our system. And we haven't had that dominant guy this year. We're kind of a committee there, but it is what it is. But they're going, and then Coop's been hurt. He's still working back. But I love our guys, and they're going to get there. And they've done a lot of good things this year, and it'll continue. But that play that Leggett made the other night was a huge play for the game, a huge play for him, and hopefully that kind of sparks him, with his maturity and really the sense of urgency that he needs to be a great player.
If Sammy continues to do what he's